Hey there, Knicks fans. Basketball's in full swing, and FANATICS Sportsbook has new ways for you to get more out of the action as we head into the new year. Every bet earns you up to 10% fan cash, win or lose. So even if your bet doesn't go your way, you're still building fan cash you could use across the FANATICS universe on apparel, fan gear, and more. If you haven't made the switch yet, now's the time. FANATICS Sportsbook. Winning, it's different here. Getting too old for this bullshit. Oh, boy. There we go. Let's just empty the whole bottle. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by FANATICS Sportsbook. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It is your boy, Jonathan Macri, here with you for yet another Knicks Film School Postgame Show following what started out as the Mike Brown victory lap game. Morphed into the Kevin McCullar game, morphed into the fuck around and find out game, and finally settled in on a place that I can absolutely endorse, which is the OG Anunoby needs to be on your first team all defense, or you should not have a first team all defense game. Final score, I don't even know what the final score of this thing was. The Knicks ended up winning by 3 points, I think. Listen, they went up by double digits in the first half. They went up by, 16 points, and I think they pushed the lead to 18 was the highest that it was. If you're a longtime Knicks fan, you've been watching this team for a while, I know this team is this year's team is different. This year's team has a different way about them. They have given us a lot more confidence where teams of years past, including last year's team, maybe never did. But I don't care about any of that nonsense. If you are a longtime Knicks fan watching this game, you had the sneaking suspicion that somehow, some way, this was going to be a close game down the stretch. And I wasn't quite sure how it was going to happen. I didn't know if it was going to be a Trae Young 3-point barrage. I don't know if the Knicks were going to go cold from deep. I didn't know whether it was going to be, their defense let up generally. I didn't know whether it was going to be, maybe not taking care of the ball. The funny thing is that it wasn't really any one thing that got the Hawks back in the game. It was a little bit of everything. I thought it was a little bit of shot selection. I thought it was a little bit of, yes, defensive let up, which is unfortunately part of this team's DNA. And I thought, and then the Hawks just started hitting shots. And look, the Hawks have lost, I think, 5 games in a row now. They are not the team that many, including me, suspected that they might be at the start of this year. They are still a devastating offensive team when they put it all together. And tonight, they didn't even pull it all together because Trae Young was probably his worst game of the season. But look, 43 3-point attempts for Atlanta, 17 makes. They end up shooting 40% from deep on real volume. That's enough to get any team in a basketball game, and it got them in the basketball game late. Thankfully, the Knicks did enough to win. We have a lot to go over for this one, but I would be remiss to start any place other than OG Anunoby. I think it was a month ago or so. I think I made I don't know if I made waves. I don't think it was a wave-making statement. I think it was Macri said a thing. And I did say a thing when I proposed the possibility that OG Anunoby and not Jalen Brunson was the most important player on this team. And I proposed that statement at a time when OG Anunoby was out. And when the Knicks were looking like a team that was could not get out of their own way on defense. I said that and I didn't do what I usually do, which is try to add the necessary context. If I was going to go back in time and add the necessary context, I think I would have specified more that that was a regular season statement, that OG Anunoby could be arguably the most important player on this Knicks roster to get through the regular season at a certain baseline. And I think the reason that I would say that is because you have so much offensive talent on this team besides Jalen Brunson, and you just don't have the same level of defensive talent. When you take OG Anunoby out of the equation and you rely on everybody else that is left there to do what they have to do to make up for his absence and just generally be a big-time defensive team, it's just not the same. Now, Mitchell Robinson being Mitchell Robinson on defense certainly helps a lot. And we saw, after I thought was an outstanding Christmas defensive performance, I haven't gotten a chance to really talk about the Christmas game yet. What was a really good defensive performance from him on Christmas. I thought this was another step in the right direction for him defensively. Saw some nice stuff from Mitch defensively. But even with that, and then you subtract Josh Hart, who has had himself quietly a nice defensive resurgence. Like, you needed that dude tonight, man. You absolutely needed him. And I think you actually, one of the reasons why I think the Hawks got back in the game, funny enough, with given how the game ended, is I thought OG had some plays defensively where he was very un-OG like, where he let guys, get a first step on him, where, I mean, he ended up the game with 4 fouls. I mean, not that they were like terrible fouls, but like plays that he might normally just make the defensive play without drawing the foul. And it's the best testament, the best compliment that I could give to OG Anunoby and how great he is defensively is when he has stretches of a game like I thought he did earlier in this game, where he is not this all-world defender. You notice it, even though there's nothing, like, it's not bad defense for a normal player. It's still really good defense. But anytime he is anything other than otherworldly on defense, it stands out. So for him to make all of these plays down the stretch, obviously he gets the offensive rebound. He makes the steal of Double J, Jalen Johnson. It's just exactly what you needed from your best defensive player. So shout out to OG Anunoby, who didn't have a great game, but he was there when it mattered. Zooming out, talking about the game generally. Again, there was stuff to not love about how they let the Hawks back into this one. If they had lost this game, yeah, I would have said, fuck around and find out. It's not the most ideal way to start a 3-game road trip. That is not, necessarily going to get any easier, although the Spurs actually lost to the Jazz at home tonight. Pelicans were playing better basketball. I think they lost to the Suns tonight too. So we'll see what happens the rest of the road trip. But you want to start off the road trip with a win, especially when you go up by 18 points. But this wouldn't have been the end of the world. This one would have been one we would have chalked up to, hey, it's an 82 game season. Shit happens. They'll learn from it. They'll move on. But we don't have to have that conversation, which is great. And I think instead of that conversation, we could focus on the conversation about what this game says about where this team is now versus where they were last year and really where they were over the last 5 years. Where they were 5 years ago, or 5.5 years ago, I guess at this point, they were, more than any team in professional sports, in need of a no fucking around leader. No fucking around. No, we leave nothing to chance. We control every controllable. We will extract every ounce of anything out of every second, minute, quarter, half basketball game. And so they hired Tom Thibodeau, and he was the right hire at the time. And we had many conversations over the ensuing 5 years about whether he was the right man to retain the job and ultimately guide this team into where they hope to get to, the highest echelon of the sport. What was undeniable is that at no point in time in the 5 years that Tibbs was the coach did he ever change in one very important aspect, which is that the mentality that he brought to the franchise when he took over, which is we got to win every second of every game at all costs. That mentality was the same when they were a team that was predicted to finish with the worst record in basketball as it was when they were a team that was a series away from their first finals in 25 years, 26 years. That mentality never changed. And because that mentality never changed, we never got nights like this. And nights like we have been getting, not maybe for the whole season. Mike Brown kind of started off heavy on the experimentation, then reeled it back in, and now he's been he put a toe in the water, he put a couple toes in the water, he put both feet in the water. Now Mike Brown's just like, he's out there, he is waiting in the pool. He's on his floaty. He's thinking, hey, maybe I'll get out, maybe I'll do a belly flop right into the deep end. He is fully invested in the notion of we need everybody. And it's not we need everybody to stay prepared for if and when their number will be called. No, it's we need everybody along the way, and we will call their number. Whether or not we absolutely need to call their number, that's not the question that Mike Brown asks. Mike Brown looks at these guys and say, hey, can I look at you and reasonably assume that you could do the job I need you to do tonight? If there is a possibility in Mike Brown's mind that the answer to that question is yes, based on what he's seen behind the scenes and what maybe he's seen in sparse minutes here or there, he's going to play it. And the difference between this approach and the approach of Tom Thibodeau was the guy or kid who grows up to be, a man or a woman. And, they're sitting around and they're 45 years old and somebody's like, oh, what's your favorite sushi place? And they're like, oh, I don't have a favorite sushi place. I've never had sushi. What? Why have you never had sushi? I don't know if I'm going to like it. So I never tried it. And that was Tibbs. He would not try anything unless he was certain that he would like it. And that was his mentality as a coach, both from a perspective of who he played, who he put on the court, and also in the style that he played and in the schemes that he ran and in how his team, he allowed his teams to execute and what he would instruct them to do. Only when he felt he was backed into a corner, like we saw, for instance, in the Boston series last year, where he looked at that team and was like, yeah, the only chance we have is to switch everything and go from there. And it worked, but until he feels that way, he just won't try the food that he's not sure he's going to like, unless it's the only food available. Mike Brown, he walked into a buffet and he said, give me a little of that, give me a little of that, give me a little of that. And I think what started with, I don't even know where you would say this really started, because obviously Kolek was the name of the game, has been the name of the game for a little while now. Not his best game tonight, but like we've seen Mohamed Diawara from very early on in the season get little stretches here. He played 16 minutes tonight. I thought he had some really nice defensive possessions. Had some really nice offensive possessions. He hit a three. He had a couple other nice moments there on the offensive side of the ball. And then we reached the full evolution tonight with Kevin McCullar Jr. I was prepared at one point during the game, even with my sneaking suspicion. I was like, maybe I'll be able to start off the game with the Kevin. That didn't feel right, so I didn't go with it. But Kevin McCullar Jr., 23 minutes, 13 points, hit 4 of 7 shots, 3 of 6 from deep. How you doing? 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Did have 3 turnovers, although 2 of those were on the offensive fouls. Somebody's got to work with that young man on setting a proper screen. And then 2 really important steals. And you know, I would have, if they had lost this game, I would have been able to get on here and say all sorts of things about, why the Knicks were exiting Atlanta with a loss that should have been a win. One of those things would not have been, oh, well, see, this is what happens when you play the young kids. Yeah, okay. Tyler Kolek had a bad game. Tyler Kolek is on such a hot streak that and has shown so much. And like, yeah, he had a bad shooting night tonight. I think there were his command of the offense tonight. I don't know that it was quite as strong as we've seen him recently. But then again, he's been operating on such a high level. But like the notion that Tyler Kolek like shouldn't have played 19 minutes tonight and that the Knicks would have been better served, like, yeah, okay, I guess in retrospect, sure. But there's no world where you would look at what he got tonight, 19 minutes, and be like, oh, see, this is what you get when you overextend these young kids. No, he absolutely deserved to play 19. And by the way, good job by Mike Brown living in this moment for this game. Tyler Kolek's been awesome. He wasn't great tonight. He played 19 minutes as opposed to 23 or 25 or 27. Kevin McCullar, more impactful tonight. He plays 23 minutes as opposed to whatever he would have played if he came out and this game looked too big for him. So, again, this is a coach that looks at what is in front of him, and he not only expands his horizons to consider all possible options, including options that may have a cognizable downside risk, because that's what taking a chance is. Everybody, and I said this when Tibbs had the job for years. I said this when Tibbs had the job. The reason he doesn't do these things isn't because he's just stubbornly afraid of the upside. It's because he's or doesn't want to get the upside. It's because he's afraid of the downside. He doesn't want to take the risk. To him, the risk isn't worth it. To Mike Brown, the risk is not only worth it, but it is a necessary component to winning a championship in what is an 82 game slog that then gets you to the true gauntlet of having to win 4 rounds. And I do think it's interesting that when Mike Brown got the job, a lot of the focus was on the offensive concepts that he brought with him from Sacramento, you know, but that really came from Golden State when he was an associate or I forget what his title was. It was essentially second in command under Steve Kerr. And yeah, that's been awesome. And like, for as much as like I may have quibbled with some shots here and there, like the Knicks don't take bad shots anymore. Like I'm not smart enough to fully wrap my head around like everything they're doing on offense, but I know it produces good shots. It produces good looks. And the looks that aren't good are like, all right, well, it's maybe a Brunson shot or a Cat shot where it's like, okay, they're entitled to it. You get it. But people didn't pay attention as much, I think, to what he probably learned from Steve Kerr as far as going deep into your bench and he knows the value of that because he was on the staff for a team that won multiple NBA titles. Now, obviously, they had Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, and it's easier to win NBA championships when you have those sorts of players. But the point remains, and that's a Kerr thing. Is it always going to work out in your favor? No. And like we've seen Kerr take a lot of criticism not only this year but in past years, and I'm sure for as much as he is seemingly deserving of a key to the city tonight, I guarantee you there will be a moment this season where I get on here in a post game and I have to talk people off the ledge about Mike Brown because of some decision he made. That's coaching. You're going to do stuff that's great sometimes, and other times you're going to do stuff that makes people really upset. But from a process standpoint, the way that Mike Brown has approached this job for this particular team, which notably is not the team that Tibbs took over 5.5 years ago, is exactly what they needed at this time, and I think will serve them great moving forward. So, kudos to him. He deserves absolutely all the flowers. And, the Knicks are 22-9. And like, I don't know if he's going to end up in genuine coach of the year discussions, but he probably should at this point. So, again, shout out to Mike Brown. Some other things that we should probably talk about. Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson combined for 70 points, and it doesn't feel like either of them had a particularly good game. Obviously, they had aspects of this game that were outstanding. Jalen Brunson hits 3 clutch shots down the stretch, including a laugh out loud 3-pointer to put the team up 124-121. That was his last made basket, we should note. He did have the costly turnover. He had another miss there down the stretch. But, like, look, you're going to trust Brunson with the ball in his hands late, and I think all things considered tonight, he did not let you down. He hit the baskets that needed to be hit, and so that was awesome. And by the way, the little floater that he missed, that OG got the offensive rebound on, that has been part of the Knicks game plan for years, is taking those floater range shots and specifically guys that are going to draw just a little bit of extra attention from your defenders, from your low defenders. And it makes those offensive rebounds available, not just for guys like Mitchell Robinson, who have that incredible talent, but a guy like OG Anunoby, who is a pretty good rebounder in his own right. I think he had 10 boards tonight, including 3 on the offensive glass. That the late one was huge. So shout out to Jalen Brunson, and shout out to Karl-Anthony Towns again for 36 points on 15 shots. And it does not feel like Karl-Anthony Towns had a great cat game, only because I feel like we've seen great cat games on offense. Defensively, I was actually kind of annoyed with him from the early going, because I thought Onyeka Okongwu getting like his rhythm from 3, and I think he had come in missing his previous 7 shots from deep, and he couldn't miss tonight. I thought Cat just gave him too much room, and then after he got going, the first freaking shot of the third quarter, I'm like, come on, man, the guy's already made 3 threes. You got to get out on him. So that was a little annoying, but like, the Hawks have no one who could guard him. Cat had no one who could guard him. And tonight, Karl-Anthony Towns deserves all the credit in the world for doing exactly what he needed to do to punish a team that had nobody to stop him. And that's put his head down and not do the silly shit that gets people annoyed. I'm not sure if these were quotes made to the pool reporters, or if this was Bondi just getting this stuff on his own, but I read it from Bondi before the game. There were some quotes from Cat. There were some quotes from Brunson. They actually referenced it on the broadcast about how, and look, Mike Brown said it after was it the Wolves game? I think it was the Wolves game, where he said, like, Cat needs to cut down on the offensive fouls, the cheap fouls. Like, they're calling this stuff. Was the fact that he got to the line 18 times tonight some sort of a changing of, like, a sea change, where refs suddenly had an epiphany and they're like, we've been doing it wrong by this player for the last 10 years. We must now call these things the other way. No, I don't think it was. I think it was a combination. It was a terrible matchup in terms of Atlanta had nobody to guard Cat, and they did an especially poor job, even given that they have nobody to guard him. And I thought he did a spectacular job of drawing contact and not doing the stuff that has been getting him called for offensive fouls for most of the season, and really for many years. It'll be interesting to see how much this translates to teams that have a better matchup for him, but he did what he needed to do, and he was without question the most essential, important, best, whatever you want to say, offensive player for the Knicks tonight. So, and yet again, I will say, I did not feel like I watched a great Karl-Anthony Towns game, for as much as he did exactly what he needed to do, and he largely executed on that. 3 threes also, by the way, from Cat, including 2 massive ones in the fourth quarter. The deep one that put him up 112-102 that came with no hesitation. At that moment, I'm like, all right, maybe they are winning this game easily, but silly me. All right, who else we want to talk about? Talked about OG, talked about Jalen. McCall, steady as she goes. Not a great McCall game. It was good, solid. He's just all he is solid. That's like he's been better than solid most of the year, but the worst it seems like he ever is solid. Off the bench, Mitchell Robinson, ho hum, just 4 offensive rebounds tonight in 18 minutes. That'll actually make his average go down, but some of them were massive. He had a very key offensive rebound before a basket that made it 114-104. Again, every point mattered in this freaking game. Even though the Hawks went on that run late. Oh, by the way, when I was shouting out OG Anunoby, didn't even highlight his biggest basket of the game, which was the and one that ended the Hawks 11-2 run, made it 117-113. Again, Hawks ended up taking the lead after that, but it was a massive basket in the moment because they needed to break the momentum. Kolek, not a great game. Clarkson, not a great game. All right, let's talk about Kevin McCullar, and then we'll get to the super chats. So I did not know a lot about Kevin McCullar, which is to say I knew nothing about Kevin McCullar coming into the draft. I did whatever little studying up I could do on him to find out that this guy was, at one point in time at least, like a real prospect. And you could kind of squint and see the outline of a player that could actually be a real useful two-way NBA guy. And my understanding was the only reason he fell to where he fell to was the injury situation. And I remember being told at the time, well, if it wasn't for the injury thing, he would have been drafted, whether it was at the top of the second round or maybe even late in the first, whatever. So that there was that. And sure enough, he ended up redshirting essentially his entire rookie year. So there was that. And then I guess there was some offensive questions. Like he was a stronger defensive player than he was an offensive player. I think there was maybe some shooting questions about him. Didn't see him at all last year, really. Like, I know they referenced that last game of the season against the Nets, but like, who gives a shit? And the couple of times that he had been thrown out there this year, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority on this one. I did not feel like I was watching an NBA player. Now, I will say there was a difference. Let me rephrase that. He did not do anything overtly to tell me that he was an NBA player in any of the previous instances that I had seen him this year, or for that matter, last year. That is different than Bacom Dadier, who makes it very clear that he is not an NBA player and does so overtly. No offense to him, but it is what it is. Or a guy like Gershon Yabusele, who, my Lord, is there? Do he is in? It's like there's the doghouse in the back of the yard, and then you go over the fence and you take 15 paces into the woods and you go into a little ditch, and there's a separate, much shittier doghouse in the ditch. That's where Gershon Yabusele is right now, and he deserves to be there. To be clear, all these kids, they're like 24 years old. All these guys that are getting time over him, they absolutely deserve it. But enough about that. So, Kolek, for him to, he came in the game midway through the first quarter. I'm like, okay, I guess this is just going to be one of those games where we're just going to throw some shit against the wall and maybe we're not trying our hardest to win. And then he just starts playing, and all the kid does is make play after play after play. And I just don't know where it came from, because again, maybe it's just me. I do not feel like we have seen any signs of this coming. At least with Kolek, the passing was always there with Kolek. And you knew he tried hard. You knew he cared. You knew he gave a shit. You knew he had some shit to him. So when the shit he had to him translated into real NBA defense, which was one hurdle he needed to get over, when he developed some confidence, which was another hurdle that he needed to get over, neither of those two things were like shocks. And then the last step for him was and will remain just knocking down threes. Tonight, of course, he went 0 for 3, but he has been making the threes. If that continues, like, but you could see that coming based on the one fundamental skill that he had. McCullar had not shown us anything at the pro level. I'm sure he showed a lot in college. He has not shown us anything at the pro level. So for him to come out there tonight and just make winning play after winning play, knocking down threes with confidence, I mean, the just to and we'll end here because it kind of ties up my theme of this game in a neat little bow. This is a game where the Knicks had 7 or 8 healthy players. I know they're without Deuce, and I know they're without Shaman. But they had 8 healthy players who were fully healthy. They didn't play yesterday, and they're not playing tomorrow, and are unequivocally ahead of Kevin McCullar Jr. in the rotation coming into tonight. In maybe Diawara saying unequivocally is a little strong, but like, look, we've seen Diawara all year long. We haven't seen McCullar. So I'm going to go with 8. And you could argue that Hukporty was ahead of McCullar in the rotation because he's gotten time throughout this year. I mean, shit, I know what I said about, Yabusele a minute ago, but even Yabusele, you could say, like McCullar was the only guy after him is Become Dadier, and Become Dadier has, 1 foot out of the league at this point. So to go from a guy who, like, if you looked at the game situation, you looked at who was available for the game, you would say Kevin McCullar doesn't need minutes tonight. It's not like they need him to play any minutes. To go from that to playing the amount of minutes that he played, and then to be in the game during the pivotal defensive possessions late that you absolutely needed to have your best 5 out there to make all of the plays that you needed to make to win. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. His previous season high in minutes was 4.5. And it came against the Timberwolves in a game where you did not have Jalen Brunson. You did not have OG Anunoby. And he only played 4.5 minutes in that game. On the year, he had played a total of 5 minutes and, do some quick math here, 47 seconds. He quintupled that tonight. It's a credit to him that he was ready. And it's a credit to Mike Brown for having the trust and the faith and knowing what he's seeing and say, yeah, this is, I'm ready to plant my flag here. And it seems like everywhere that Mike Brown's planting his flag these days is just, it's coming up aces. So I think I covered it all. This was a fun game to win. It was not necessarily a fun second half, but it was a fun game to win. And look, I've said it before. It is more than that. This team, that there's something special about this team. More than Jalen Brunson is awesome. More than Mike Brown is a godsend. More than any of those things. My theme of this season, and it's a perfect time to mention it because we're in the middle of the holidays and talk about things that we're thankful for and all that. My theme of this season is appreciate every win. There are no such thing as bad wins. Appreciate every win this team gets, just because if they stay healthy, they will sleepwalk their way to 50 whatever wins, does not mean that every win is not worth enjoying, because they are. This is a hell of a team. A lot of other teams going up 18 and getting hit in the mouth to the point that they are down late. Do not come out of here with a victory, even if they are a team with a really good record, which obviously the Knicks have. A lot of teams do not come out of that arena with a win, even though I know it was like half Knicks fans. The Knicks did. And they did because they do what they always seem to do, which is make enough plays to win. Do they occasionally make literally just enough plays to win and not a single play more? Yes, they do. And for that reason, to really put a bow on this and to go bigger picture, if you're looking for a reason why I do not think that they will get the level of national respect between now and the start of the playoffs that I think a lot of Knicks fans want them to get, I think that's the reason. I think because they so often resemble a team that again, does enough, but is not just, greatness incarnate. That's not who they are. That's not their personality. Maybe it'll get there, but that's not who they are right now. But I'd rather be what they are, which is a team that just refuses to die. And it doesn't matter what has happened in the game. It doesn't matter what the situation is. It doesn't matter how many times they've gotten hit in the mouth. More often than not, they will find a way to pull it out. And it's a credit to the collection of guys in that locker room. It's a credit to the coach. It's a credit to the last coach. I will say that. And it's a credit to the front office that assembled the team. So nice win. Screw Atlanta and Cacaw. There you go. All right. Let's check in on our best bets of the night, presented, of course, by our friends at FANATICS Sportsbook. I was off this one. I was going to take the over. The over, I believe, was 241.5. Easiest over in the world. And, of course, it hit. So that would have been my best bet. Andrew, Mitchell Robinson, over 9.5 rebounds. Talk about a bad beat. Mitch had 9 rebounds, so that sucks. Jeff took the Knicks second quarter spread, which was for the Knicks to win the second quarter by 1.5. They cleared that easily. Shout out to Jeff. And then Sean, 10 points for Jalen Brunson in the first quarter. Got it in dramatic fashion with a Jalen Brunson 3 on the last Knicks possession of the first quarter. So 2 out of 3. Getting a lot of 2 out of 3s, I feel like, this year, which is, hey, it's pretty good. Haven't hit as many of our parlays as we would have liked, but again, we were a freaking rebound away from hitting this one. And the impact that Mitchell Robinson had in this game, it feels like there's a 10th rebound in there somewhere in those 18 minutes. But what are you going to do? Okay, that's it. Those are our best bets presented by FANATICS Sportsbook. Shout out to them. Thanks for being our presenting sponsor. And let's see what people want to talk about. I hope people are in a good mood. I'm in a good mood. It's Christmas week. I was gonna say I've been taking it easy. I haven't been taking it easy. I haven't freaking stopped. But I've been enjoying the time that it feels like a break. When my kids are home, it feels like a break. All right, so we got 6 super chats apparently from before the game ended. I can only imagine what these are about. Drew P starts us off. Refusal to start Mitchell Robinson with the starters, let alone play it, is insane. Josh with the starters is plus 3.3 and minus 4.9 when starting. At what sample do we accept the fit sucks? What the F, Mike? So sure enough, I just got done giving Mike Brown all of the flowers in the tri-state area, and Drew P starts us off with a comment killing Mike Brown. Welcome to fandom. Population, all of us. Drew, none of this shit's an exact science. I would go if I've said already, I like to do starting 5. That would be the way that I would go if everybody was healthy. I think Mike Brown very much liked the idea of the Mitchell Robinson starting 5, which is why he started the season with it. The numbers are pretty good. It's a small sample size. There are obvious reasons why you play it. I think really the thing to focus on is the fact that, like, tonight, for instance, they did not play the double big lineup at all. I think there's validity to wanting to see more of the double big lineup, but and again, this will not surprise anybody who's listened to literally any post game I've ever done. I'm at the point where I'm not going to question Mike Brown's decision making. I feel like he has just an insanely intuitive beat on his team and this locker room and what is working and what is not working. So maybe, give him the benefit of the doubt. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Thanks, Drew. Young Lido, Kevin outplayed Dadier's entire career in one game. No disagreement. But in fairness, coming into tonight, they were about even. So thanks, Young Lido. ETKRTS. There's only one vowel there, and it comes at the beginning, so I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Mike Brown won a regular season game against a near 500 team with Kevin McCullar playing 20 plus minutes. Coach is him. There you go. I think the super chat was sent before the game ended, and yeah, Mark is confirming that for me. At crits, for future reference, jinxes are real. They exist. Please be kind to the rest of your Knicks fans across the universe. Thank you, Ed Kurtz. Sergio Escobar. I remember Sergio. I feel like I haven't heard from him for a while. Or maybe I heard from him recently, but I haven't heard a lot from him this year. In any case, welcome. Greetings from Madrid. Hello. I've never been to Madrid. I'd love to go. Euro trip, 4:30 a.m. here. Shout out to Mike Brown's player development. 13, 51, and 9 look legit. I fucking love this team. Let's fucking go. Love what we saw from Kevin McCullar Jr. tonight. Love what we've seen from Tyler Kolek. I think the Kolek thing is absolutely real. Took a brief hiatus tonight, but that's fine. It's totally cool. This Mo Diawara, I know he went 2-7 tonight. This is exciting to me personally. When you're talking about my own personal sensibilities as a basketball fan and the sorts of things that get me excited and the sorts of things that I look at and I'm like, whoa, that's a big deal. If they got a kid or a guy at the 50 whatever the fuck pick in the draft, or 40, I forget where the hell he picked him. They picked him late. And as a rookie who I'm pretty sure he came to basketball late, can knock down threes and defend like that dude defends, and can actually isn't afraid to put the ball on the floor, is pretty intuitive, and just has the outline of a very real offensive player, and he defends like it looks like he defends. Oh boy, Lordy. That's a useful piece to have. I know I said something similar the other night. I'm saying it again now. Every time he gets on the floor, I feel like he shows us I don't know what I am yet, but I'm something. And I want to see where the Mo Diawara thing goes, because that's, if he turns into something, man, ooh boy, that would be a useful tool, as they say. Thanks, Sergio. Rob Delusmo. What's up, KFS fam? What's up, Rob? When the game gets tight, I'm not worried. I have faith that these Knicks will find a way, and that's a great feeling. Happy New Year, people. Did I ever think they were going to actually lose tonight? Let me think. I mean, the old sphincter definitely clenched up when they went down. That wasn't fun. I did not enjoy that. But and you know what it was? I was like, here's what had me worried in this game. Against 5, 26, 27 other teams, I would have the same feeling. The fact that this particular Hawks team employs he's not the best perimeter defender in the sport, but I think he is. I think he might be the single defender that gives Jalen Brunson the most problems. And I know I get it. I'm saying that on a night where Brunson went for 34, but on 29 shots. And Brunson definitely got Daniels a couple times. But if I was gonna build a defender to frustrate Jalen Brunson and to have on Jalen Brunson down the stretch of a game, I would formulate someone like Dyson Daniels. And the fact that the secondary guy in Nickeil Alexander-Walker ain't too shabby either, and he's the guy I think that got the steal that gave the Hawks the lead. Not a bad guy to have in your back pocket. So because of that, I was like, oh, man, I could see a world where the game's like tight down the stretch and like just Brunson is just blanketed. And that's it. Because here's the other problem. Nobody else had really made shots tonight. OG was 3 of 10. Bridges was 6 of 13. Okay, whatever. It's fine. And Towns had gotten to the line. But like, you don't see them typically give the ball to Towns in those sorts of situations. So, and Kolek was on the floor. He was cold. He was 1 of 6. So that was the thing. You knew the ball was going to be in Brunson's hands. And that was the only thing that had me worried. But look, find ways to win. Sometimes you win with offense. Tonight, in a 128 to 125 game, they won with defense and offensive rebounding. Shout out to them. I should have said this at the top. Shout out to them on the offensive glass. I think they end up with 20 offensive rebounds for the game. 19. Pretty close. That's close to a season high. Okay. Thanks, Rob. Norman Jean King buying a McCullar jersey. I mean, sure. I it's crazy though, because this team's going to be healthy at some point, and like he's probably going to go to the back of the bench again. But like, look, some guys that's fine. Some guys you just need them to step up and like be able to step in when their number is called. Speaking of the devil, Kevin McCullar Jr., damn right he did. Defensive player of the game. Got a happy looking locker room here. OG, that's an interesting look on OG's face. Who else we got? Let me see that. Diawara seems like he's in good spirits. Yeah, Baselli too, which is good. You want to see that. And then I just love Bridges always being at the front with the peace sign. It just makes me so happy. Shout out to him. Thanks, Norman. Exhibition continues. I haven't heard that name in a while. He used to super chat a lot. Where you been? I feel bamboozled. Never in my years of watching Cap or No Cap was it suggested that those line items at the bottom of the sheet could be actual basketball players. That's good. Yeah, man. It's a different world. It's a different world. And like, look, doesn't always work out in your favor when you play these guys. That's the risk that you take. Sometimes these young players, they have rough games, but that's what I love about Mike Brown is, he's given, maybe not McCullar that much this year, but Diawara, he's done this a lot. Kolek kind of at the beginning of the year. I feel like he's kind of done it with Hukporti. Did it, I feel like, even with Dadier the other night. Actually, Dadier got a little bit more run. But all these guys, he'll give them like these little stints, these little like 4-minute stints to see what they got. Like, all right, I'm going to test it out. It's like, again, to go back to the trying new foods analogy, it's like someone who at least take the bite. It's like they're not gonna, order the whole meal, but it's like, all right, if you order it, I'll take a bite. I'll try a bite of it. With Tibbs, for him, there was no difference. If you took one bite, it was the whole meal. Because to him, 1 second in which you were not doing your absolute, damnedest to win the game or not, in what his mind was the absolute damnedest. Now, obviously, the irony in that is that this approach ensures, what one might say, more sustained winning in the long term. And I mean long term, both over the course of a long season and many years down the line. So, we'll find out, though. Thanks, Exhibition continues. Rich McLeod, what's going on, Rich? Shout out to Just Mets. I know you guys have been an active few weeks. Well, that was unnecessarily dramatic. 3-point defense in the second half was really rough. OG to the rescue at the end. Yeah. Yes. I mean, look, it certainly, I think the thing that really got the Knicks tonight was Okongwu like going off from deep. I mean, he finished the game. I guarantee you, nowhere on the Knicks whiteboard coming into this game was anything about Onyeka Okongwu attempting 10 threes and making 6 of them. That was not in the cards. It was not anywhere in the cards. So I think that probably threw them for a loop. None of the other Hawks really had like crazy out of like so Okongwu going 6 of 10 balanced off the fact that Trae Young only went, didn't make it 3. He was 0 of 4, only took 4. But like their game plan is always coming into a game with Trae Young. It's always going to be more geared to stop Trae Young and pay attention to what Trae Young is doing. So you're going to give up the threes to a guy like Okongwu, who I'm embarrassed to say I don't know exactly what he is. Hold on 1 second. Okongwu, what is I don't think he's having a great season from deep. Now watch, I'm going to look like he's shooting like 40%. Shooting 33% from deep on 5 attempts a game. His previous season high in 3-point attempts in one game has been. He actually took 14 threes in the game against the Jazz. Other than that, took 9 3 times and then 7, 7, 7, 7. So this is the second most threes he shot in a game this season, and I would guess over the course of his career. But again, it's not like he's incapable. It's just it's not something you game plan for. And if that dude, but again, it wasn't all him. But I think him having the night that he did and getting off to the start that he did really threw them for a loop in their coverages and stuff, and it put, I think it forced they were like kind of maybe overcommitting and doing some things to make up for that. In any case, the 3-point defense was not good in the second half, and I also thought they were just a step slow, So, but that's fuck around and find out, and they almost did. Thanks, Rich. Hush, dude, what's going on, Hush? Knicks love Brunson and Hart so much they're just in-house cloning them now. Great game from K. Kevin McCullar. Stretch 5 is our Achilles heel. Need better 3-point defense. Let's go Knicks. Stretch 5s are there's no great answers for stretch 5s. The answers to stretch 5 is you switch. And that's the thing. When you have Trae Young on the other side, you can't switch 1-5 pick and roll. You just can't. You cannot. There was no universe where Carl. I say this remembering. I remember it in my mind's eye. The stop that Karl Anthony Towns had on Trae Young. Trae Young was in the corner. It was a game. I'm pretty sure it was at the Garden last year. It was one of the best defensive plays Karl Anthony Towns made all season. That said, you do not want Karl Anthony Towns switching on to Trae Young in a regularly on a basketball game. So I think, not all stretch 5 teams are created equal. I think if like Okongwu turns into a guy who is freaking this from deep, then yeah, the Knicks are going to always have a lot of trouble guarding the Hawks because they also have to account for Jalen Brunson out there, and that's its own thing. So tough matchup, but they could do better. And again, I think the Knicks were not going full out with their defense tonight. I think we could say that. Thanks, Hush. Deadwords, what's going on, Deadwords? Usually I'd be bothered by all the close games, but fuck it, a win is a win. And games like these build character. Let's freaking go Knicks. Yeah, I think this team probably has all the character they need, though, if I'm being honest. Look, it's good to get wins. It's good to pile up wins. Detroit lost to the Jazz, who break up the Jazz. When do we play the Jazz? Hopefully not for a while, because I would like to not play them until they go fully into the tank, which they will do at some point this season. Let me see here. When do we play the Jazz again? We play the Jazz again. Oh, look, it looks like it's not for a while. Not for a long while. Oh, good. They play them in freaking March. That's great. They'll be very much tanking by then. Why did I bring up the Jazz? Oh yeah, because the Jazz beat the Pistons recently, and that means that the Knicks are they a game back? I think they're a game back. No, they're still 2 games back. Why are they still 2 games back? I don't know. I can't keep track of any of this shit. But in any case, they're 2 games back. A loss tonight would have made them only a game ahead of the Celtics in the loss column, so that would have been ideal. So yeah, just get the wins. Keep piling up the wins. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, Kev? How are you, my friend? 22-9, was killing OG most of the game. Great to see him step up at the end. Cat got whatever he wanted most of the night. I want Deuce back really soon. Yeah, we all do. I think there was some consternation before the game about Deuce went from questionable to out. I just like, you saw him before the game. He was warming up. He looked good. He'll be back soon. Like when he gets back. It's a long season. But yeah. I shared that opinion on OG for most of this game. I did not think he had his best game and came through late. That's what matters. Thanks, Kev. 22-9 is pretty good. Mr. McBagels, I've seen enough. Mike Brown is coach of the year. I don't care what the academy thinks. I would do, if I had a vote for coach of the year right now, I went very hard earlier in the season on my Eric Spoelstra will be the coach of the year. That has faded. Huh. How's JJ looking for coach of the year? That was quite a rant the other day. So, there's Mitch Johnson in San Antonio, but like, I don't know, that their team is just they're good. And they lost tonight, I know, but like, they're just a good team. And they have this freaking thing in the middle, and then all these dynamic guards and role players. So he's done a very good job. We'll shine off or bloom off the Dagnall rose now. So I mean, Bickerstaff is the favorite right now, as he should be. I would put, if it were me, I'd probably right now, if I had to vote Missoula 1. I don't think Bickerstaff is a better coach than Mike Brown. I think you probably have to vote Bickerstaff ahead of Mike Brown as of right now. I think that will change, but I would probably do Missoula 1. God, I hate it. But Bickerstaff 2, and I think I would have Brown 3rd right now. Yeah. Mitch Johnson would be close. It's actually, the race I don't think is like, I don't think it's as crazy as the thought that Mike Brown could win coach of the year. I don't think it's that crazy. Like Detroit takes a little bit of a slide. Boston takes a little bit of a slide. All of a sudden the Knicks are like first in the East, and like they're playing all these kids, and Brunson's looking great and Cat's looking great and everybody's shooting well and the whole thing. He could win it. I don't think it's crazy. I legitimately don't think it's nuts. Anyway, thanks, Mr. McBagels. Jay Mercandetti, what's going on, Jay? Trae Young is now 7-18 versus the Knicks. Look, Trae Young is an inconsequential player, ultimately, in the NBA. That has been proven now. He has been in the league for long enough, and the struggles that his teams experience are consistent enough that he is a guy. He's going to retire with, like, what does he have? 3 all-star teams or 4 all-star teams on his resume right now? I'm guessing he has 4, which is good. Yeah, 4-time all-star, all-NBA, and it was an all-NBA 3rd team, if I recall correctly. It was all-NBA 3rd team. But he's a 4-time all-star in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. He will not make an all-star this year, so it'll be 4 and 8 years. I'll probably retire with 5 or 6. Man. Yeah, no, I'm not ready to go there yet. I just like, he made the 1 conference finals. Okay, great. He does not matter to me. Not saying he won't ever beat the Knicks again. I'm not saying he's not an incredible offensive player most of the time, but he's ultimately not an important enough NBA figure for us to waste our breath on. Thanks, Jay. Anthony Sixto, what's going on? McKilla, Mac Morrison, Mac Attack, Mac 10. A lot of season left, but this team is doing all the things they should be doing. Solid Diawara and Mac minutes is game changing. I used to have a hat that said, what the fuck did the hat say? It said something about Mac. And I bought it. It was one of the first times I hung out with my wife. Obviously, we were not married, and we went to the Roosevelt Field Mall, which ironically we live rather close to now. And I saw a hat in the store, and it said something like, I forget what it said. It said Mac something or other. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to buy this. This is awesome. And I bought the hat, and then she's like, oh, you like Mac Morrison? And I was like, who the fuck is that? I had no idea. And I wore the shit out of that hat, man. Let me tell you. I wore it so much that it like disintegrated. I don't even have it anymore. I don't know what that was all about. Thanks, Anthony. Hush Zoo with another one. Not much noise as of yet, but Brunson might be 2-time clutch player of the year. Tonight was like a whatever his odds were before tonight, probably the same as they are now. Because again, some 3 huge shots, but also some, Anyway, Cat's best game of the season, not for me. It was a very good game. He did what he needed to do. It was not his best game of the season for me. Remember that Daniels is the JB stopper. Talk fun. Oh, remember that Daniels is the JB stopper. Talk fun 2 weeks. That was. There's a lot of people that I will make fun of associated with the Atlanta Hawks. Mostly Trae Young. Dyson Daniels is not going to be one of those guys. Dyson Daniels is like the fact that they got a fucking draft pick out of that trade is like, my Lord. No, he's a hell of a player. He's a guy that like should be an absolute part of their core as opposed to Trae Young. I just have a ton of respect for him. He plays the game the right way. He's a good enough offensive player to you could always have him on the floor. And like, well, you know what though? As I say that, I think they mentioned it on the broadcast tonight. He just doesn't hit threes anymore, which that does hurt. Like it is really tough to be a guard in the league in 2025 and just not hit threes at all. And he does not hit threes at all. Yeah, he's shooting 13% from three. So, that's tough. But on defense, it's like, no, that dude's good. He's really good. Thanks, Hush. Emil Bumansor, I think. Love the win tonight. Quick question, John. Where did you get your John Starks autograph behind you? So I actually have 2 Starks autographs. I have there's the little basketball over my left shoulder. There it is. That I got as a gift when I was 11 or 12 years old. I got as a Christmas gift. And from family friends of my parents. And the framed dunk portrait, my mom got that at an auction. I don't remember what auction, but she got it as a gift for me. They had it at the auction, and it was like when Knicks Film School was like just kind of getting started, and she got it for me, and it was she got it for me at an auction. I have no idea how much she paid for it. I hope she didn't pay too much, although it's a great piece. It's not. I think she may have had it framed. My mom's an interior designer, so she has connections in the design world, so she could generally get things framed for somewhat cheaply. But yeah, it's really nice. I love it. It's I don't know if it's my favorite piece. I don't know what my favorite piece is. Favorite thing that I have. I mean, the honest answer, my favorite thing is the signed Ewing picture with him after they won Game 7 against the Pacers, because that was one of the first gifts my wife got me. And I will always I will always cherish that. So that's my favorite. But I have a lot of cool shit. Oh, speaking of the devil, my mom look at this. Hold on, my mom got me this for Christmas. She got a New York Daily News Knicks, all like the headlines. They advertise the shit out of this thing, so you can get it. But it's pretty cool. I was flipping through it on Christmas Day. A lot of good wins right up through, I think, the Game 6 win against the Celtics. So that was pretty badass. I don't know where the hell I'm going to put it. I'm running out of room here. So anyway, thanks, Emil. Greg Film Stuff. What's going on, Greg? How you doing, man? Loved every second of the McCullar minutes. Stayed ready and showed up when the team needed it the most and grabbed 8 boards like Hart. Props to OG for 4 crucial free throws. Yes. And the game-sealing steal. Diawara could be such a weapon. Yeah, I mean, you summed up all my feelings right there. The great thing about the McCullar thing is now you feel like, is he a player that like needs to be in the rotation? Probably not. But if like someone's hurt and you're like, okay, Kev, go in there and give us 12 minutes tonight, you feel great about that. You feel great about that all of a sudden, which we would not have said before this. So, yeah, and OG, man, I don't know about you, but I want OG Anunoby on my team. Thanks, Greg. Kevin Wilson, what's going on, Kev? This team feels like it has the talent, maybe more, of last year's team combined with the grit and heart that we loved from the team 2 years ago. Huh. Yeah, it's not a crazy statement, Kevin. It's not a crazy statement by any means. I think they have more talent than last year, for sure. And maybe the for sure is a little strong, but they have more talent than last year. And I think the fact that they've been playing together now more and like the talent is being fully actualized. Hello, Mikal Bridges. And they definitely have the grit. Now, look, revisionist history is a crazy thing. Let's not pretend like last year's team did not have grit and toughness. Did they let us down a lot? Did they frustrate the hell out of us? Were there moments where we wanted to rip our hair out? Yes, 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 yes. The team, like, that Detroit series, was that a well-played series? Fuck no. Did they show grit and toughness in that series? Yes. Did they show grit and toughness to beat Boston? Yes. And then some stuff happened that we don't need to talk about. All right, next up. Thanks, Kev. We could do stat of the game after this if you want, Mark. Dan Hidalgo, what's going on, Dan? I've gone from thinking the Knicks are deep to thin to back to thinking we have some depth. Agree with you, another wing would round them out. Dan, I know I've been on the wing, bandwagon for a while now here. I got to tell you, this got to sound insane. Between McCullar coming in tonight doing what he did, I'm dead serious. It's not hyperbole. You know me. I don't jump out the window easily. Between McCullar coming in tonight and doing what he did and showing that he could be a rotation player for a night at least. I'll see if he can do it again. And Diawara, like, looking like he's looked. The Kolek thing is the Kolek thing. I keep coming back to this notion of, are the Knicks ready to, roll the dice on Mitchell Robinson staying healthy to win a championship this year? Because it kind of feels like putting the whole thing on black or on red or on, what's the other options? That's it. Those are the only 2 options, black or red. Now, is that to suggest that like it's a 50-50 bet that Mitchell Robinson's going to get hurt? No. But like, I don't know. What odds would you give it that Mitchell Robinson's going to stay healthy for 16 playoff games? Or excuse me, 16 playoff games. What the fuck am I talking about? 25 playoff games, 26 or 20, however the hell many playoff games they have to play to win 16. Is that even odds? You putting even odds on that? You putting better than even, worse than even? I mean, it's not that far from even. So for that reason, and because God love Ariel Hukporti, nice player, I do not have the same faith in him that I do in maybe a Tyler Kolek or at this point even like a Diawara. I wonder maybe they should explore the market for bigs. I don't know. Ask me next week. I'll probably feel differently then. It's been that kind of a year. Thanks, Dan. All right, we're going to do our stat of the night. Shout out to Jonah Kaufman, our KFS intern. 17 is the stat of the night. That is the number of free throws made by Karl Anthony Towns. Tied his career high. They mentioned on the broadcast he had attempted 20. That was a career high in attempts. Tonight, 17 out of 18. Pretty good conversion rate, I would say. Ironically enough, the game that he tied came against the Knicks in 2016. Made 94% of his free throws. Also had a good night from the field for him. And then one other thing, OG Anunoby, 7 for 7 from the line tonight. And the team hit 27 free throws. That was their third most of the season. Good stuff, Jonah, man. Great stuff. Thank you. All right. Home stretch. Jessica, what's going on, Jessica? I don't know this. Oh, it's Old McDonald. Old McCullar had a bucket. 3-I-3-I-O. Yeah. It's just I don't do the singing thing. You should know that by now, Jess. I love you though. Let's go Knicks. True statement. What's going on, True statement? Really love Brown's ability to get the most out of his players. The opportunities he has given these players has increased their confidence. Give players a reason to stay ready. Made it to New Orleans to see greatness in person. Awesome, man. That's great. I'm jealous. I imagine there will be a decent number of Knicks fans there. Certainly many good seats available. So have fun in that game. I hope you see another road win. Yeah, I mean, look, like I think guys stayed ready under Tibbs. I think they filled with their team with guys who stayed ready. It's not about staying ready. It's about the opportunity. It's about the opportunity, and I think it's about the confidence that your coach is like. Who was it? Who was trying to remember who I was? I think it was the Zach Lowe show. He was talking about some young player that is playing right now, not a Knick, but just some young player who's playing right now, like a guy who feels like if he makes a mistake, he's going to get taken out of the game. We saw that for years with Tibbs, with young players who looked over their shoulder. It felt like when they made a mistake. None of these kids are looking over their shoulder, and because they know they don't need to, because they know if Mike Brown wants to talk to him, Mike Brown's going to talk about it. Mike Brown's going to give him a real chance because they've earned it. And that's the difference. That's the difference. When you give players that level of confidence, it's funny how often they will respond positively. Great stuff. Paul McFarlane, what's going on, Paul? OG literally snatched the game from the Hawks. Didn't need any plays run for him to take over the end of the game. Let's fucking go Knicks. And yes, always, forever. Fuck Trae Young. Love it. How's Hawks Fan TV doing tonight? I hope they're just doing great. We should have had them on actually with me to do a duologue to open the show. Love that guy. Guy's awesome. He's so good at his job. Armin, what's going on, Armin? JB needs to do a better job keeping Cat engaged. He plays so much better with Kolek. This has to get better if we are going to win. Cat can dominate. So let's get this straight. Armin, this is pushing it even for you, buddy. JB needs to do a better job of keeping Cat engaged. Okay. So it is on Jalen Brunson, who is the starting point guard of the Knicks. I will give you that. It is on him to keep Karl Anthony Towns, a guy who, if he plays 3 more healthy seasons, it might not even be 3. It might be 2 after this one. If he stays healthy for the rest of the season and he plays 2 more healthy seasons, is going to make the fucking Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. I understand, like, several of us, me and you included, still have trouble in like how we think about this player and how we talk about this player and how we critique this player and when to put fault on him versus when not to put fault on him. The notion that it is Jalen Brunson's responsibility to keep Karl Anthony Towns engaged, I'm not saying that he can't do a better job of that at times, but like, Cat is a big boy, literally and figuratively. He does not need Jalen Brunson to do that for him. And I don't think, like, it's just all about getting him. You know what Jalen Brunson needs to do? If Cat's open, get him the ball. That's all. Like, if Cat's open, get him the ball. It's as simple as that. And I thought he did a really good job of feeding Cat tonight. Like, Kolek does a nice job too. I thought Brunson did a better job of getting Cat the ball tonight, but that's me. I am curious just because you brought it up. So when Cat and Towns are on the floor together, the Knicks are outscoring teams by this is cleaning the glass, so I don't think it's updated for tonight, but outscoring teams by 9.6 points per 100 possessions. They have an above average defense and a 125.6 offensive rating. Hello. That would obviously be first in the league by a country mile. When Cat and Clarkson are on the floor together. Now, I will preface this by saying this number should be taken with several grains of salt because earlier in the season, the version of Clarkson that we saw was not the version of Clarkson we're seeing now. That said, when those guys are together, 118.3 points per 100 possessions. So lower offensive rating, but 21.4 net rating. And that is because of a 96.9 defensive rating. So when Tyler Kolek has been on the floor with Karl Anthony Towns, the Knicks are defending like the 96 Bulls. What do you attribute that to? I mean, it's a sample size of 416 possessions, so it ain't nothing. And I mean, you look at these lineups, a lot of them has Jordan Clarkson in them. I mean, they're going against backups, so there's that. Some of them have Towns at the 4. I'll say that. With Mitch, it's the 5. But that's something. That's something interesting. So I don't know. Maybe you meant that, Armin. Maybe you meant he needs to keep Cat engaged on defense more. If you meant that, then A+ comment by you. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? Got the first win of the road trip. I know you're happy about that. How ironic. They won by a 3 in a game that the refs took. They won by 3 in a game the refs took away a 3, which we all laughed about when PA hyped the crowd over it. Did they? I didn't even notice the PA announcer. I mean, Jesus. I feel so sorry for everybody associated with the Hawks franchise that they just get absolutely overtaken by Knicks fans. Like, like someone coming into your house and fucking your wife in front of you. Like, just pack it up and go home. My Lord. Anyway, disappointed with the defense. Enjoyed the experimenting. Look, it's, what are we talking about? It's December 27th. They're going to have these games. I mean, you go up by 18. You're like, all right, can we just get the hell out of here? And, you get a little lax. Like, it's understandable. It's not ideal, but it's understandable. That's how I put it. Thanks, Tom. John Leary, what's going on, John? Some Hawks fans thought Young was better than Brunson going into the season. Look, Hawks fans think a lot of silly shit. Not that there's that many of them, but, like, they love Trae Young. They really love Trae Young. They think Trae Young, which is why, and, like, look, I've said I hate the Pacers the most. I don't hate the Pacers fans the most. I think the fan base that I hate the most might be Atlanta, because they are a little too uppity for my taste. Again, there's not many of them, but their takes are so fucking god awful. So what has made me so happy this season is the fact that if any of them have half a fucking brain in their head, which I know many of them don't, they had to have a come to Jesus moment of like, holy shit, maybe this guy is actually what's wrong with our franchise. And maybe we would have to, and the fact that they are now coming to grips with the fact that the guy that they have gone out on every limb to try to defend over the last however many years, 8 years, is like, and so they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. And I just want all of them to be miserable because fuck them. Thanks, John. Rich Smith, what's going on, Rich? Mike Brown is building great team chemistry, giving these younger players some time on the court. Yes. Makes them feel like they're a part of the journey. Yeah. Amen to that. No disagreement. Nothing to add. Mike Brown's doing an awesome job. Keep moving up the coach of the year rankings, odds, whatever. Giovanni Mistretta, what's going on, Giovanni? This team has the juice. I like that. I don't know why I find that so funny. They do have the juice. Let's fucking go, Knicks. Want to plant an ad for the newsletter for those that aren't subscribers. I swear to God, I did not pay Giovanni to do this. Just bought KFS as a gift for my buddy. His last text. It feels like I finally found my Knicks home. Oh, that's really special. Thank you, Giovanni. Really appreciate that. Thank you for gifting. It sounds like you may have gifted a subscription to your buddy. There's nothing. I mean, look, I'm blessed to be able to have a lot of nice people say nice things about what we do here at KFS. There's nothing that gets me more than when someone likes the newsletter. Because as I've said many times, I have no writing training. I have no background in journalism. Nothing of the sort. I have, from the moment that I started writing that newsletter, from the moment that I started writing about the Knicks, I just write from the heart, and I write what I think is enjoyable and entertaining, and maybe a little insightful occasionally. And I feel blessed that anybody reads it, and the fact that I could, make my living in part by people reading it. It really does mean the world to me. I actually, you know what? I don't usually do this, but fuck it. You brought it up. So I think, let me check right now. Shit. See, this is, if I was a better promoter of my own product, I would have known this. Just got over 11,000 subscribers to the Knicks Film School newsletter. So if anybody out there would like to, join in the fun and help me, start the march to 12,000, we're at 11,009 subscribers to the Knicks Film School newsletter on Substack. You could sign up. I send out a free newsletter once a week, usually on Mondays. And then if you want to be a paid subscriber for the price of like a large fancy coffee from Starbucks, you get the newsletter every weekday and usually on weekends as well. Although I already said a couple of days ago that the newsletter for this one's coming out on Monday. I'm like I said, give myself a little bit of a Christmas break. So you'll get your Hawks recap in your inbox on Monday morning, and it'll be worth the wait. I promise. Thanks, Giovanni. Will Oliver, what's going on, Will? What do you know? We have more depth than we realized. Don't tell that to Mike Brown. I think he realized it all along. I think he's like, the great thing about Mike Brown, you get these coaches who they exude all this positivity and they say, like the soundbite he had that they played tonight with his back and forth with Kolek. That's like every fan's dream to hear that shit. To hear him talk about an exchange where like he went at Kolek and then Kolek went back at him, and it like made him a little mad, but at the same time he was like so happy that his guy was like, had some shit to him, and then you hear Kolek talk about Mike Brown, and it's nothing but love and the whole thing. Like this is all like dream stuff. Yeah, but if it wasn't legit, if it wasn't real, None of it would matter. I believe everything that I'm hearing from Mike Brown. He just seems like such a genuine guy, number one. And number two, I think he really appreciates this opportunity that he has to coach this team. Obviously he knows he's been fired several times. The last time that happened was in a move that gets more ridiculous by the day. I know the Kings won tonight, but still. He's what the organization needed right now in every way. Thanks, Will. Brody, what's going on? F. Trey Young, he needs a barber. He needs a lot more than a barber, and he needs a full-on makeover. I don't know what. I think he thinks if he just grows out his hair from wherever his hair grows from, it'll just make it all better. Trust me, it's not. But really curious where he ends up getting traded to. Because he ain't gonna be on the Hawks next year. I'll tell you that much. Thanks, Brody. Taxi Dave, my guy. What's going on? Captain Clutch, Big Cat, McCullar, OG's free throws, all defense team to end it with the steal. Love our Knicks. We'll see them in Phoenix and both LA games. Oh, that's fun. Awesome, man. That's a tough road trip. The Lakers, I know they don't defend anybody right now. How crazy is it that out of the three teams, both LA teams in Phoenix, the Suns game is the game I might be most worried about right now because the Suns, they just play so freaking hard every night. They remind of me a lot of the We Hear Knicks, but I digress. Moving to New York in April, Garden, here I come. Love you, KFS. Well, welcome. Preemptively, welcome. If you need any, I don't know how much you know about New York, but if you need any advice coming to the area, hit me up. I'll tell you where to get good pizza. That's what I'm good for. And soup dumplings. I'll tell you where to get pizza and soup dumplings. That's it. Thanks, Taxi Dave. Chris Dayton, my guy. No date night, but have a full belly and bourbon. I'm finishing off a bottle of red wine that we opened on Christmas Day, and that's the only reason I'm drinking red wine right now. Did you have Tyler Kolek, Mohamed Diawara, and Kevin McCullar on your bingo card? No, I did not. Love a win in addition to building confidence for situational guys. Fully healthy, they're a problem in June. You need everybody. Indiana, Oklahoma City proved that last year. You need everybody. And Tibbs went to the end of his bench in the Indiana series, and it was too little, too late. You need everybody. So all there is to it. You need everybody. Thanks, Chris. Brody with another one. Yabu looked comfy in sweats tonight. Trade season. I just don't think he's going to be on the team after the deadline. I think they're going to move him. I think they're going to attach the pick, and I think it's just a matter of what they get back. Thanks, Brody. Busy. Nights like this, I miss Tibbs. Does anyone miss Tibbs? Like, I sure shit don't. And if I don't miss him, but I'll say this about Tibbs. I think there's two things. One, we could love what's going on right now, and I do, and everybody should. While also appreciating what Tibbs meant for the franchise at the time that he came, and also was he perfect? No. Are there a lot of things that we, in retrospect, you could look back on and be like, hey, if he had done these things differently, maybe he'd still be here, and this, that, and the other thing. Yes, absolutely. Guy was a pretty good coach, did a lot of things well, but the second part of it, and it goes hand in hand with the first part, is like, just because he was not, his ways kind of got old, and he maybe did not evolve as the team needed him to evolve. Like, people could be kind. And I do see occasionally that there are some unkindnesses out there when it comes to him, which is just like, I don't never really get that stuff. It seems unnecessary to me, but that's me. Thanks. Jason, my guy. Let's give Walt Perrin his flowers. He's been like tucked away in a cave somewhere. He came to the franchise, made this big splash initially, and now here he is. And his I mean, look, I still remember when he was hired and how excited I was at that hire. I was watching videos of him on tape and interviews and this and that. That was like a major get. It was like probably of everybody that Leon hired, maybe other than Wes, Perrin was the guy. Well, Brock Aller, but and we know what magic Brock Aller has worked, and now you're seeing it from Walt Perrin. Thanks, Jason. Kevin Nanishevsky with another one. What's going on, Kev? There are years where we'd be talking ourselves into Kevin McCullar Jr., Mohamed Diawara, and Tyler Kolek as the best thing about this team. Appreciate the moment. Also, Michael Porter Jr. for Trey, maybe. Why would Brooklyn do that? Well, I mean, I'm serious. Why would Brooklyn? And this is why I have no problem making fun of Trae Young for as offensively brilliant as he is. Where's the team that's like, you know what we need? We need Trae Young. That's what we're missing. That's the thing that's going to solve our problems and totally not give us new ones to have to solve. I don't see it. But at the same time, like he's still their best engine, all due respect to Jalen Johnson. So I don't know what the Hawks are going to do. The Hawks are in a really interesting position. I'll say that. Thanks, Kev. Cliff Clairval. What's going on, Cliff? No criticism of Mike Brown from me. I like that this was a game he decided to do some experimenting, and it worked out okay. These are the types of things I wish Tibbs tried. Yeah, Cliff. I can promise you're not alone. And I don't know. I just don't know why anyone would criticize Mike Brown this year. Like what could you possibly criticize him for? I'm not saying that facetiously either. Like, what has he done that would warrant any criticism of any kind? Again, with the caveat that like no coach is perfect ever. The guy's done a perfect job, pretty much. Even his mistakes have been good because he admits to them and he spins them into positives. Thanks, Cliff. Busy with another one. If all caps, 2 caps, this year doesn't produce a ring and Diawara and Tyler Kolek continue showing promise, are those 2 plus Cat and picks enough to get Giannis? That depends on who else is offering what. First of all, I'm on the fence about whether I think Giannis is going to get traded before the deadline. I know Milwaukee's talking this big game about we want to bring in pieces to make the team better and the whole thing, yada, yada, yada. I'll believe that when I see it. I think Giannis still has the hammer. I don't know if he wants to use the hammer. If he does want to use the hammer, then it's going to be a different story. Assuming that we get to the offseason. The offseason is always tricky because there's only one team that won the title and there's 29 teams that are, theoretically trying to get to the title. So, like right now, the Rockets are showing patience. The Spurs are showing patience. Is that going to be the case in the summertime? I just the notion that they're, and everybody gets access to another draft pick after the draft. So there's that. So I don't, my gut answer is no. Unless Cat like pulls out the freaking, Mjolnir. That's Thor's hammer for you guys out there who are not complete and total nerds like me. Unless Giannis pulls that out, I don't think that would be enough. And by the way, who's to say that the Knicks are going to be looking to trade for Giannis in the summer? Maybe, but I know what you're saying. If it doesn't produce a ring, it's a big caveat. Thanks, Busy. Zebo, what's going on, Zebo? Told the wife about your Christmas Day hosting drama. She was dying laughing. Giving Kevin a second first half go after a rocky first go was next level coaching and support. Yes. So for anybody who doesn't know what the reference is to, I wrote, again, speaking of the newsletter, I wrote about my Christmas Day festivities in the Knicks Film School newsletter on Friday, I think. Yesterday. Yeah, let's go with yesterday. And I hosted at the same time as trying to watch the Knicks game. My wife, I will have everybody know, she read the newsletter because I told her I was writing about our Christmas Day. She doesn't always read the newsletter. She read this one, and her verbatim, she's like, "You made me the enemy of the story," which I said to her, "How could you say that? That is not true at all." But she is convinced that I made her out to be the enemy. I said I made myself out to be the enemy because I was the asshole who should have been paying attention to his hosting duties and was instead watching the Knicks game. The fact that you, a normal person, were being like, "Hey, get your shit together," that's just normal people stuff. So no, my wife is not the enemy. I am my own worst enemy. Another one from Zebo. Diawara scouting report is exactly what we see now. It's better. I mean, again, I know there was talk about him shooting it, but like, what is he on the year? Hold on. I'm going to guess he's 36% from three this year. Is that crazy? Watch, he's like 20%. 33%. Okay. What is he taking? Like 15 threes? He has taken. So coming into tonight, Diawara was 5 of 15 from three. And tonight, I think he went 1 of 3, right? Yeah, he was 1 of 3. So he's still 33%. But like 6 for 18, man. I'll take that. 6 for 18, Mohamed Diawara from three? Sure. Shit. Why not? Guy's played 110 minutes this season as a rookie. And he's 6 of 18 from three? Sign me right the hell up. Absolutely. Danishevsky with another one. 2 losses for the Wolves since redacted danced on. I didn't have I had the Magic Nuggets game on one of my little TVs, and then I was having some Wi-Fi issues with my big TV, so I had to have the Knicks on 2 TVs tonight. So I wasn't able to have the Nets game on, but I saw that the Wolves got their asses handed to them by the Nets. The Nets, by the way, man, they're going to have to suspend Jordi Fernandez or something because they are, a lot of teams are, I think, doing maybe a little bit more winning than they would have liked to. Between the Nets now at 10-19, the Jazz at 12-19, and they have a draft pick at stake, as I'm sure people know. God, imagine being the freaking Clippers or Kings, teams that actually are trying to win and, can't do that. So I don't know what I got to talk about. Oh yeah, the Wolves. So the Wolves are 20-12 now. 6th in the West. Half a game back of the Lakers and Rockets. Game and a half up on the Suns. Okay. Thanks, Kev. Knicks fan 518. I counted 5-6 pick and rolls with Cat. That was refreshing and effective. Kolek Cat pocket pass looks deadly. Again, I know I gave Armin shit before. Kolek's really good at finding Cat. He is. He's a great passer. He's the best passer on the team. We've said it for a year and a half or a year and change. It's important, but also Cat needs to do his part. And I thought Cat's drives they were smart drives. He drew contact well tonight. And most of all, he took advantage of an opponent that had no answer. He needs to continue to do that. And let's hope that he does. But more time with Kolek and Cat together, which is, again, another benefit of playing Kolek and Brunson together, which is like, even when, you like if the two of them are with Cat, that's a really nice situation because then you got 2 point guards that can get on the ball. Speaking of which, this is going to be a very small sample size. So coming into tonight, Towns, Brunson, Kolek together, 46 possessions. It's not even worth saying anything about. Plus 57 per 100. 128 offensive rating, 71 defensive rating. How you doing? What were they tonight? I'm curious. Shout out to our friends at Pivot Fade. They do great work getting these things up here. Lineups. Knicks. 3-man. Here we go. All right. Let's see. I don't know. They definitely played some time together tonight. So Kolek, Towns, Brunson tonight actually got outscored tonight. They only played 4 minutes and 21 seconds tonight. They got outscored by 2. So their robust net rating will take a hit tonight. But generally, I like that combo. Thanks, Knicks fan 518. Busy with another one. I'm sorry, don't catch many of these, but you triggered me. Okay. If you knew, giving young guys confidence is so important, then why did you defend Tibbs all those years when me and others complained about him? Well, one, because you're you, and I just always love giving you shit. But it goes back to my philosophy, which is that you always defer to the coach. These guys are in the building every day. These guys are seeing what they're seeing. They're putting in the work. 90% of what they do and experience and see and all that stuff, we don't know. I've said this speech before. I said this speech 5 years ago. I said it 4 years ago. I said 3 years ago. I said it many times. And I'm just, my whole thing as someone who has multiple advanced degrees and like has had some modicum of success in a fair number of professions throughout my life, as it were, the only thing that I am sure of is that I don't know shit from shit. And that the people that do the actual work, they're the ones who know best. So my default is always going to be defend the person that has the expertise, defend the person that is actually seeing and hearing and knowing every day. And I'm particular partial to coaches because coaches just always get shit. You know, they always get the most shit when things are going bad. They always get the blame. And it really does just come down to like, you know, are things going well? Well, then whatever the coach is doing is probably gonna get praised. Are things not going well? Well, then whatever the coach is doing is probably gonna get crap. Like, look, I could sit here and I could be like, well, you know, Tyler Kolek, Kevin McCullar, like these guys, they were rookies last year. Like they're second-year players now. It's possible, crazy as it may seem, that they've actually gotten better in the last year. I could sit here and I could talk to you about, you know, Quickly and Grimes and Deuce and freaking Jericho Sims and other young players who have come through the organization and have blossomed and become better NBA players under Tom Thibodeau. But here's the ultimate thing, Busy. Every coach, doesn't matter who they are, if they've made it this far and they are the head coach of an NBA team, they have things that they are exceptional at and that make them the absolute best at their profession. And people may hear that and they say, well, that's actually really not true because, you know, there are college coaches, there are high school coaches, there are assistant coaches out there that are better at X's and O's and game planning and adjustments and all that sorts of stuff. That's not all it comes down to. If you are an NBA coach, for your first responsibility before anything having to do with a whiteboard or a clipboard is managing egos and managing personalities and governing a locker room. And that's something that, by the way, Tom Thibodeau was always pretty good at. But put that aside. That's your first responsibility. And then everything else falls from there. But the point remains. If you've made it to this level, if you're a head coach of an NBA team, you're really good at what you do. You're in the top, whatever, 5%, 2%, 1% of your profession. And you got to that point by abiding to whatever your personal code is of what your beliefs were. Tibbs got to the point that he got to because he abided by a code that was, everybody knew what that code was. It had some really great parts to it. It had some not great parts to it. But as I said, time and time and time again, you cannot pick and choose. You take the good with the bad. Mike Brown has been the coach of this team now for 32 games, whatever it is. We have largely only seen the good. There has been some bad. I mean, again, his entire coaching staff, by his words, not ours, his words, went to him and be like, hey, this thing you're doing, not starting Josh Hart, this is stupid. Don't do that anymore. But he turned around and he made right by it. At some point this season, next season, probably a lot of seasons, there's going to be things that Mike Brown will do that are part of his personal ethos and rule book and code that will annoy people. But they are important to him. They are essential to his view of what coaching is. And my point to you, Busy, many, many, many times over the years, whenever you would be kind enough to contribute like you are now, is that me and you and whoever is sitting at home, doesn't matter if you're the best X's and O's mind in the world, and we have some of them here on staff at Knicks Film School, we still don't know. We still can't see behind the scenes. And these guys always know more than us. But more than that, again, they have their thing that got them to that upper echelon. And who the fuck am I sitting here in front of a microphone in my basement to question that code? That game plan. That's really all it comes down to for me. So I'm going to defend Mike Brown probably until the day that he doesn't have this job anymore. And then somebody else will get the job and they'll do things differently from Mike Brown. And I'll defend the things that they do differently that Mike Brown didn't do. And you could probably ask the same question then. Never had anything to do with Don Thibodeau. It has to do with the job. That's all it is. Thanks, Busy. Haitian Ferg, what's going on, Haitian? It's on Cat to find his lane and exploit it. Yes, very much so. He hasn't been consistent his whole career. He's the difference between a second-round exit and a legit finals run. I mean, he's been my I always want to say wild card. I always forget. This is the term that I always forget. He's been my deciding factor about what is the Knicks ceiling. Cats, because all these other guys, in large part, are metronomes. Jalen Brunson is a metronome. Bridges, last year aside, metronome. OG, give or take your occasional hot or cold shooting game, metronome. And even Josh Hart, you might want to say, all right, he's not a metronome, but he kind of is. Give or take some hot shooting, he's a metronome. Even the guys, Mitchell Robinson, you know what you're going to get from that dude. All of these guys are metronomes. Cat is not a metronome. He has high highs, low lows, and a lot of in-betweens. So, if he could really put it together, and I think I've been incredibly encouraged by what we've seen from him over the last really most of the season, I think we're in for a legit finals run for sure. Thanks, Haitian. X Factor. Why can I never remember that? It's an easy term. X Factor. It's a stupid thing to forget. Alex, what's going on, Alex? I liked Brown speeding up Brunson late in the game. JB slowing down the offense helped Atlanta defense get set. Deuce back soon. Rejoice. And that's good coaching. Brunson likes to work at his pace. Mike Brown wants him to work at a different pace. They have come to a nice compromise thus far. I think they're good for each other. I know Mike Brown's happy to have Jalen Brunson. I think and hope that Jalen Brunson's happy to have Mike Brown. As for Deuce, I know you're feeling that if Deuce is available for the next game and Josh Hart, obviously we know is going to be out, that Deuce should start. I gotta tell you, it makes sense because then you eliminate this glut of guards. Because otherwise you'd be having a lot of guards coming off the bench. But we'll see what he does. We'll see. Got a couple more from Haitian here. I can't enjoy the season until the playoff time. Results matter, and right now things look good, but I still don't trust Cat in big games. I hope Mike Brown fixes him. Let's go to the next one. I'm jaded, so I get it if I'm alone on this. I don't think you're alone on this. I think you're probably alone when it comes to the diehard fans. I think most diehard fans are like, they jump in. Once you jump out the window, can you get back in the window? What's the opposite of jumping out the window? I feel like I don't understand these terms. I never understood why jumping out the window is a good thing. I don't know. In any case, I feel like you're in the minority when it comes to the people that are like on social media and like the whole thing. I think the majority of those sorts of folks do get very excited over the wins, are very much here for the regular season success. I appreciate where you're coming from, where you're like, hey, we just made it to the conference finals. Like, and then we were up by a bunch of points with like 3 minutes to go, and we saw how that went. So wake me when this team gets that opportunity again. I understand that. For me personally, Haitian, I just like, I honestly don't know if I would feel this way if I did not now do this for a living. But because I now do this for a living, I have made it a priority to enjoy everything that is there to be enjoyed and to not get as wrapped up in the stuff that could potentially make me like aggravated. And to your point about having this like thing out there that you just don't fully believe in, and it is there and it is probably going to be there until the playoffs. I understand that to an extent. What I would tell you, and this is coming from someone who has been a town skeptic and has obviously has not been bashful about criticizing this player. We have seen him produce on the big stage. In the playoffs last year, in the playoffs the year before that. Go ask any Timberwolves fan about the Nuggets series from 2 years ago. They will tell you that Karl-Anthony Towns was exquisite. He played within himself, made all the winning plays, the whole thing. So was it consistent last year? No. Was it consistent the year before that? Did Cat show up in a big way against who the fuck did they play? The Mavs? Not really. But we've seen enough. And to me, and this is where I'll kind of wrap this up, I do think the regular season matters when it comes to this stuff. And especially because there's a new coach, and also new pieces. Again, we're talking about Tyler Kolek and how good a chemistry he has with Cat. I am choosing to believe that the stuff that we are seeing now can matter and will impact the long term of what happens in April and May and June. Because again, to quote a former head coach, you build habits over the course of the regular season that will then come to fruition and you will rely upon in the spring and summer. So that's where I'm at, but I understand where you're coming from and I don't begrudge you. Robert Cross. Who's that? First time, long time, it's your boy John. I can't believe this is still on the air. I mean, look, sometimes I talk a lot. What can I tell you? How was the holiday in the new abode? Merry Christmas. Read my newsletter. I think you're a subscriber. If not, just let me know, and I'll you've given Mike kids probably several semesters of college at this point. The least I could do is gift you a newsletter subscription if you need it. Christmas was great. Watched the whole game, most of which was on my laptop. Had what did I start off with? Started off with an eggnog and Johnny Walker Red. And then I switched to an orange wine that I had picked up the day before. That went down very smooth. And then I'm trying to think if I had anything else. I think that's all. I think I just finished off. Yeah, that's all. That's all I had. Food was good. Antipasto was good. Ham came out well. Made a sausage bread that was fucking killer. That was labor intensive, but worth it. And my wife got a bunch of stuff for my kids that I'm actually very happy that she went overboard, because just like, my kids are not going to be young forever, so to have them have like a magical Christmas morning was great to see. And I'm trying to be better about appreciating those things in the moment, as opposed to worrying about how many more hours I'll need to stay on after a Knicks game to pay for all this shit. Robert has another one here. First time, long time, it's your boy John. The Knicks ceiling is Brunson's ability to get the best out of him in big moments. Thought that for a while. I'm guessing you mean the Brunson's ability to get best out of Cat in big moments, or Brunson's ability to get the most out of himself in big moments. Either way, how many times have I said this? The Knicks are going to go as far as Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns take them. They are their two best players. They're not going to win a championship unless both of those guys in the majority of games. And, we'll see if they could do it. All right. Home stretch here. Mark, I'm keeping you up late. I apologize. OG team, Brunson is a third MVP. JB player of the month, ? If not, who are the other candidates? So I think you mean Brunson is third in MVP voting. I'm fine putting him behind Jokic and SGA. That's fine for me. I'm comfortable with that. As far as player of the month, I mean, he's won 2 player of the week awards. We'll do this very quickly. NBA players, traditional all season segments, December. So the Knicks have a 9-2 record in December. Brunson is averaging 31 points a game, shooting 48.5% from the field, shooting 39.5% from 3 on 8.5 attempts per game. That's pretty good. And then 82% from the line, a little low on 7 attempts a game. 6.7 rebounds, 1.9 turnovers. Just a ridiculous assist to turnover ratio, perpetually. Most underrated thing about Jalen Brunson by far. Over 3 rebounds a game. Yeah, that's all really good. Jalen Brown, Celtics 6-2 in the 8 games he's played in December, but that's not as many games. I mean, that Jokic guy, he's decent. He's averaging a 31-point triple-double in the month of December. And the Nuggets, I know they lost tonight. They're 8-4. Thunder have obviously struggled. So I don't know if SGA is going to get it. Luka's only played 7 games. Donovan Mitchell, team's not good enough. Ant, team's not good enough. It was freaking... How about the freaking Nets? Michael Porter Jr., 28 a game, and the Nets are 7-2 in the 9 games he's played. Unfucking believable. I would say the December player of the month is going to come down to Jalen Brunson and Nikola Jokic. Would be my guess. Brunson missed what did he miss? 1 game? I think he missed 1 game. So that hurts a little bit because I don't think Jokic has missed a game. So that hurts a little bit. But Brunson has the cup win too. So I think it's going to come down to those 2 guys. But Jaylen Brown should get a look. He's been really good. Thanks, OG team. Robert Cross, first time, long time. It's your boy John Brunson getting the best out of Cat. Yeah, I gathered as much. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think it's crazy to say that. I will repeat what I said before. Karl-Anthony Towns is a big boy. He can be the best version of himself, irrespective of who else is on the court with him. He has that capability. Kevin Nanashevsky, here we go. Is it the problem with your argument that it assumes a meritocracy? It kind of reminds me of a great book, Tyranny of Merit by Michael Sandel. Well, I'd read that book, except I don't know how to read. So hopefully they have it on audio tape. I don't even know what this is specifically in reference to in terms of the meritocracy. But I'm just going to say, Kevin, I think you're very smart, and I'm sure the point you're making is an exceptional one. So kudos to you. It's also 12:43 in the morning. Do we have anything else? We have one more. Jason Feldman. What's going on, Jason? Love Han, but there was a moment where he went in on Trey. I heard it. That felt kind of mean, borderline unprofessional. Don't want another Wally Halliburton. Love you, J Mac. Well, I mean, shit, if that's unprofessional from Alan Hahn, what am I? But I'm not a broadcaster on MSG Network, so I say a lot of really silly shit, and because that's just I have the luxury of doing so. As long as our friends at Fanatics Sportsbook don't mind, I guess I'm in the clear. Yeah, look, he was an observation that Trae Young did not get back in the play. There was nothing wrong with him making that observation. And then they had the tape to prove the observation that he made. And then he said, that's the leader of your team. It was not nearly as bad as what Wally said. Wally came out and was like, he called him a fake all-star. What a dumb fucking thing to say, first of all. And it was like, that was overboard. Han did it in a way that was, I agree with your phrasing, where but no, I actually don't. I don't think it was unprofessional, even borderline unprofessional. I thought it was an aggressive take, and it wasn't even really a take, because he didn't even be like, the Hawks are where they are because this is the leader of their team. He just, it's not something I think we're used to hearing from Knicks broadcasters. Although, like, if we're being honest, like Clyde, how much shit does Clyde say that we kind of brush off because it's Clyde, So I gotta tell you, I don't have an issue with it. And as an aside, go turn on. I don't know if you have League Pass, Jason. Go turn on any other broadcast. There are between 20 and 25 other broadcasting teams out there that, if you heard the shit that they say on a regular basis, it would blow your mind. Like, you want to talk about unprofessional? So like, yeah, I can't. I mean, look, MSG is the best in the business. Their broadcasters are second to none. So I you should have a high standard, but I didn't. I thought about it. You confronted me with something that I had to take a step back and really think about. I'm gonna side on the fact that I think Han was fine what he said, and I don't have an issue with it. But I respect where you're coming from also. Thanks, Jason. Brody, what's going on, Brody? McCall and sloppy seconds. Leon don't need first-round picks. Something very dirty about that statement. Well, that's good, because we had a ton of second-round picks coming in the next few years, including probably the first pick in the second round this year. So that's good. Thanks, Brody. Got anything else? There we go. Robert Cross, first time, long time. It's your boy John. I don't have time to watch cap or no cap. Who are top 3 trade targets? Robert, we haven't even done a trade cap or no cap yet. So I don't even got an answer for you. I don't even know what, that's the best part about the season. I don't even know what position they're targeting. They're targeting a point guard, they're targeting a wing, targeting a big. targeting, a new assistant coach? Who the hell knows? No idea. And last but not least, first time, long time, it's your boy John. It's from Robert Cross, of course. Unsure why Kevin feels the need to make opaque references to out-of-print books 2+ hours into a postgame after the holidays. First of all, have you met Kevin? Second of all, if this ain't the fucking pot called the kettle black, man, I don't know what is. Lordy. Okay, I think that's it. I think we might be done. We're done. Okay. Shout out to the 2,400 people who are still watching. You guys are the best. Absolutely the best. I say it all the time, and I'll say it again. We're privileged to have the support that we do here at Knicks Film School. Shout out to Mark, who I'm sure wants to get to sleep so badly. He has toughed this one out. If you also enjoy what we do, and you're one of the many people watching us right now, consider helping Knicks Film School in very small but important ways, such as subscribing to our YouTube channel, turning on our alerts for when we go live, following us on social media at Knick Film School, SKOOL. And then, of course, if you're really, really into supporting what we do, you can not only subscribe to the podcast, but leave a 5-star rating and potentially write a kind review. And then, of course, we have bonus content at Patreon and at Substack. So lots of stuff. Good win. Team's good. Team's fun. Coach is great. And hope everybody enjoyed this one. Hope everybody had a great Saturday night. Hope everybody has a great Sunday. And fresh episode coming with Jeremy, recording that tomorrow night. And then I will be on the post game after the Pels game, which will hopefully be another Knick win. But until then, talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your weekend. Peace out.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See the Fanatics Sportsbook app.